يخدم ال4 ساعات.
Good afternoon, friend. Stephen Benoon with Israeli News Live, and we have a very, very special guest today, a good, wonderful man, Motasem Dalloul. He is a journalist from Palestine and in the Gaza Strip there. And the signal we have is very difficult because, as you know, Israel is so hateful. They're doing everything they can to oppress the people there of Gaza. And I don't want to waste any of his time. I want to be able to get him to share with you what's really going on in this part of the world and this continued genocide that Israel is doing against the Palestinian people of Gaza. So, Motasem, thank you for joining me. Your courage. I know to see the name Israeli News Live scares probably every Palestinian. I used to be a supporter of Israel many years ago. I was born to Jewish families. I lived in Israel during the Second Intifada. I was in a suicide bombing, and that's the first thing that ever made me think, why would someone do this? I had to dig and find out. My wife was a major help in to getting me to open my eyes to the oppression of the Palestinian people. And our biggest regret is that when we lived there, that we did not cover the sufferings of the Palestinian people then. But we are trying our best now to tell the world what's going on. So thank you for joining me, and please just share your heart, anything you would like to say. This will not be edited. It will air just the way you say what you say.
Okay, thank you for having me.
So what is the current situation going on? And I don't want to disclose your location because of the fact that you are in Gaza. I assume, even from the background, doesn't look very good.
The situation is very difficult here in Gaza at this time. I will start speaking about the starvation, the Israeli enforced starvation, which is backed by every Israeli official, as all the Israeli government and the Israeli Knesset members are supporting this starvation. The Israeli officials said that they recognize, including Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, they recognize that they are using starvation as a weapon to force the Palestinian people living in Gaza to have no choice unless they decide to leave the Gaza Strip. He also said that he is intentionally destroying the Gaza Strip, the homes and the medical facilities and other facilities and other infrastructure in order to leave nothing for the Palestinians in Gaza, but to decide to leave this coastal enclave. This starvation is leading most of the people here into malnutrition and dehydration. Tens of children and elderly people have already died due to the lack of food and the deterioration of health condition resulted of the lack of food and lack of clean water and lack of medicine. People like me who have I have lost my wife and two of my children. I have no food for my remaining children and for myself. We have been suffering. It is a kind of personal experience, and this experience is all of the people here in Gaza have this or the same experience. We don't have a flour to make bread. We don't have any bakery working here in Gaza. We don't have any book store, any shop which is selling food or any food items at all. We have nothing here to eat. All aid used to enter into the Gaza Strip during the past month has run out because if you know, it is from the 2nd of March, the Israeli occupation forces and the authorities closed the crossings and stopped the entry, the delivery of aid into the Gaza Strip. And since then, nothing has, no single drop of water or single bar of chocolate has entered into the besieged enclave. So that people are running out of food, of water, of medicine, of everything, and they are dying due to the lack of food and water and medicine. The other thing is that the Israeli occupation forces have escalated their attacks against hospitals. Yesterday alone, they attacked two major hospitals, Nasser Hospital in the morning and the European Hospital in the evening, under the pretext that they are targeting terrorists and terrorists who will never be proved as terrorists. Like they targeted Nasser Hospital in the morning, claiming that saying that they have killed or assassinated the Palestinian journalist Hassan Sbayih because he is a member of Al Qassam Brigade. However, they don't have any evidence on this except having a video for him reporting the incidents of the 7th of October. But the main reason for targeting or hitting the hospital is destroying the hospital and paralyzing the healthcare, the ailing healthcare system in Gaza. And in the night or in the evening, they attacked the European hospital and killed more than 35 people, the European hospital and its surroundings. Until now, they are targeting anyone who is approaching the area or trying to remove rubble in order to search for survivors. This is very difficult, and this let people down here because they don't have any place to go for treatment for those who are patients or suffering from chronic diseases or cancer or something like this, and those who are wounded due to the continuous brutal Israeli attacks everywhere in Gaza. This is
this just, we see it on the news, what little news coverage will really tell, and it's only journalists like yourself that are getting the word out. But to hear your voice and to hear you say these horrible crimes that are being done by the state of Israel, Netanyahu, and he's got the worst government ever, Ben Gvir, Smotrich, these are all terrorists. That's the true terrorists are sitting in the Knesset, in my opinion. And it's sad to say, because at one time I was a guest at the Knesset years ago, but I'm watching in horror, hospitals. It doesn't matter if a Hamas militant or fighter or whatever is inside the hospital. You don't bomb hospitals. Every crime against humanity is being done to the people of Gaza. The other day, probably the one video that I saw that tore me apart, I see this little girl, maybe 10, 11 years old. A bomb had dropped and there were people laying dead on the street, and she's on her knees crying with her head down, but I see the blood around her. And a man goes over and he picks her up to get her out of the street. And when he does, you see the front part of her head is gone. And I thought to myself, she probably will not live. But I saw that and I'm like, but it's over and over, little children, and they say 50,000 dead. I don't believe it's 50,000. I believe it's in the hundreds of thousands that are killed there. It's just, and now
Uh,
they're
uh,
talking, besides the starvation, they're talking about, as he calls it, Netanyahu, leeching hell on Gaza, as if Gaza's not living in a hell already.
it is living in hell, which no one is or could imagine what the hell looks like, which is Gaza living in. I want to say something about targeting hospitals and the Israeli claims about using it by the militants as control and combat and claiming the resistance is tunnels beneath this hospital. Do you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Is the screen froze up for a moment, but I hear you. Okay. And now the screen is okay again. One moment. Just for a moment, guys, we're having a little technical difficulties. You can only imagine where Motasem Dalloul is in Gaza. It is, Israel is everything. There's no power, there's no water, there's no nothing, there's no food. Here we go. We have you again. Thank you. And you
Yeah.
were talking about
Okay.
the tunnels under the hospitals that they claim that are
Yeah.
there.
They have said this. They said this, or they have these claims at the beginning of the genocide related to claiming that Al Shifa Hospital was used as command and control a place for the Palestinian resistance, and there had been tunnels beneath the Al Shifa Hospital. They stormed Al Shifa Hospital several times, three times. They destroyed, they burned its buildings, they burned all and destroyed all equipment, healthcare equipment. They destroyed its facilities. They raised the ground. They digged the ground, and they couldn't find any inch of tunnels or anything that proves their claims true. They found nothing at all. So that they continue repeating their claims that these hospitals are command and control rooms for the Palestinian resistance, as they call them, terrorists. And there are tunnel shafts beneath these hospitals, but this is only to justify targeting these hospitals and destroying these hospitals. But Netanyahu recognized this a couple of days ago in front of the Knesset, saying that he is destroying Gaza in order to leave no choice for the Gaza people except to decide leaving or fleeing this Gaza. He is doing this in order to turn Gaza in unlivable, in order to make people leave this strip and in preparation to reoccupy the Gaza Strip and create more settlements in order to appease Smotrich and the other extremist ministers in his government.
It is absolutely a tragedy in every way possible. I want to ask you something, Motasem, because when this first happened on October the 7th, to me it was an inside job. And the reason I say an inside job, because when I lived in Israel, there's no way that this could have not have been prevented. There has been news that has come out that has proven that they knew everything about it, and then they stand down and do nothing. Okay, even so, as I watch hostages come out that the Hamas has, the hostages seem in great shape. they're not abused, unlike what Israel does to Palestinians that they capture, that are tortured, beat nearly to death, and no telling what types of all kinds of other ungodly things they do to these poor men and women that they do. But on the case of Hamas, they don't torture and abuse these hostages. And the odd thing to me is knowing that there's such starvation and they stop the food and things like that. How come that they are not suffering? It makes me wonder that somehow or another they're making sure the hostages are getting food, and that just further fuels inside of me that Israel planned this in order to justify a genocide against the people of Gaza.
The well-being of the Israeli prisoners who have been released from Gaza is another evidence that the Israeli occupation authorities, including Netanyahu and his ministers and his force army, is these are they have pre planned plans to destroy Gaza and push its people out or force its people out because and the well-being of these prisoners, freed prisoners, proves that all the claims the Israeli authorities have are untrue, are wrong. Uh, um, uh, and the Palestinians don't torture or starve the Israeli prisoners in their custody. They don't starve them, they don't torture them, and I think that you might have been come across the some of these messages or remarks of these prisoners, some of these prisoners who thanked Hamas and the Palestinians and hailed them for their good treatment. And another thing is that most of these freed Israelis are banned from speaking to the media because they will speak about they will reflect positive views related to the Palestinians and Palestinian resistance, and those who make their way to the media and speak about what they have seen in Gaza and the good treatment by the Palestinians. They are being accused of suffering from Stockholm syndrome and something like this. The Palestinians here do this with the prisoners. This good treatment stems from the principles of Muslim of Islamic beliefs. We as Muslims are prevented and banned from torturing the prisoners or servants or the people of junior ranks because this will lead us to torture by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So that we have to respect everyone, even if it is our enemy. If he was captured and if he was wounded, we must treat him and cure him. If he was dead, we must respect his body. If he is alive, we must respect his being a human, and we have to feed him. And this is not only here, and this is everywhere. If people can get information, not undistorted information, and history of Muslims prove this. I read for many Western and non-Muslim historians and writers and even Jews who said or described how the Muslims across along the history, treated them very well. However, on the other hand, the Israeli occupation Zionists treat the Palestinian prisoners very badly, and they torture them to death, rape them, as international rights groups had issued several reports with evidence proving that the Israeli soldiers tortured Palestinians and raped them and tortured them to death. But no one is care about what's this. I've listened to a spokesman for the Israeli government a couple of days ago. He was interviewed by Dutch, I think, TV. The the interviewers speak with him, ask him about the high number of casualties among the children. He says that these are Hamas reports and they are lies. He said that international rights group said that the number even is more than what Hamas said, and he said that we don't trust these numbers because all of them come from Hamas. He said the interviewers told him Hamas are liars, international rights group are liars, UN organizations are liars, world leaders are liars. Who aren't liars for you in your view? So that he couldn't answer. He couldn't answer him, and he just this shows the degree to which degree they are doing atrocities and brutal aggression against the Palestinians, and they have baseless claims to justify their attacks and aggression. But unfortunately, the world leaders are still silent. I know people and population everywhere are supporting us and are against the Israeli aggression and the Israeli occupation, but world leaders are still supporting the Israeli and supplying the Israeli aggression with arms and money and everything needed to continue this genocide.
And the thing is, if the world would just stop giving Israel all these weapons, stop supporting them, and I have watched and I and in my own heart, I can understand why the entire Muslim world is not, trying to put more pressure on Israel to stop this genocide. Even Donald Trump, he meets with Mahmoud Abbas and he says he was a wonderful man. He said, not at all what I expected. He said, he's like a father, you know? Well, if you feel this way, then why are you letting Netanyahu do what he's doing? And when I listen to you, Motasem, I'm listening to you and I'm thinking, because I did a video not long ago and I really upbraided Israel very harshly because I said, you claim to believe Moses. And I know that the Muslim people believe Moses to be a prophet. I know that the Muslim people believe that Jesus was a prophet as well. They hold Mary in high regard. I've seen these things in the Quran. But my point is, Moses commanded 3 different times in his books. The prophet Jeremiah commanded it, that when you are living in the land, you are to treat the stranger, because they would consider that stranger as yourself. And that's where Jesus taught the expression, love your neighbor as yourself. And the Palestinians, even when they say about Hamas, and I'm going to say I'm not a supporter of Hamas, but Hamas is following the command of Moses better than Israel by far, and treating the hostages that they have with dignity. And you do not see this with Israel whatsoever. And I want to ask you, there's been several doctors that have gone to the Gaza Strip, and they have reported back that children are targeted by Israeli snipers. And the doctors have said it is intentional. Normally 2 shots, one in their chest, one in their head. And, you know, how can anyone, even mothers, I know they have their little t-shirt, 1 shot, 2 kills. This is the most horrible genocide ever on the planet Earth is what's happening to Gaza.
I didn't hear the question because it was.
Well, my question is, when it comes to the children, the IDF is targeting children. Were you able to hear the question, Motasem?
No. Can you repeat it?
Yes. There are reports from the doctors in Gaza.
Can you give me a minute in order to replace the code of the internet connection? Maybe it is better.
Yes. Friends, we're talking here to journalist Motasem Dalloul in Gaza right now. You can see, even where he is, the destruction, the conditions that they are living under. It is horrendous. And I'm sure they don't want people knowing. People know in the world just how horrible it is. There is a blockade on food, but I'm asking Motasem about the children being targeted, according to what doctors are saying in Gaza. Is it true? Does he know as well that these children are targeted by Israeli snipers? So we'll wait and see if Motasem can come back on. He's trying to get a better signal, and so we can continue to share the horrors that are happening there inside of Gaza. So Motasem is a very courageous man. He's lost his wife, some of his children already, and the people of Gaza are living in the most horrible conditions you could ever imagine. And now the blockade, now they do this blockade where they're, Israel's not allowing any humanitarian aid in whatsoever. They continue. And when we say they bomb the hospitals, there's not much left of any hospitals in the first place. They've been bombed so many times, and so something has got to be done. And I encourage you, everyone, they say not just pray, but, contact your senators, your congressmen in your areas there, and demand that something be done, that this war comes to an end, that aid is lifted. The pressure needs to be placed upon the Israeli government to stop the war and to return aid back to these people. As I said in the interview already, I do not support Hamas whatsoever. But the thing is, this genocide has to come to an end. And Motasem, what I was asking you is
I wish
children.
I wish this connection is better.
Yes, it's better. There are reports from doctors from Gaza that children are being targeted by Israeli snipers. Can you speak about this?
Unfortunately, the Israeli occupation forces, which which believe that they are the most moral forces in the world, are not more than killers of children because they are intentionally killing children. I myself have lost two children during this genocide. I have lost my one and two of my children. Maybe my children were killed. One of my children was killed by a sniper. One was killed with his mother in a bombing, but the other was killed by a sniper. And being killed by a sniper means that he was killed intentionally. So that how can you call yourself moral people and you intentionally snipe children? You kill my child who was killed by a sniper was left in the place where he was killed. He was with me, and we were suddenly came under fire. When I became sure that he was killed, I left his body at the same place. And after a week, I came back. I found the Israeli tank have destroyed his body. They ran the Israeli occupation soldiers ran over his body and destroyed, torn his body into pieces. So that all what I can say about killing children is a proof that the Israeli occupation forces are brutal child killers.
We have lost Motasem again. His signal is bad, and I am sure that now that they know that he is on with us here, they don't want you to know what is happening in the West Bank, or excuse me, in Gaza. They do not want you to know these things. And I don't know why it is, but it's so much more emotional when you're talking directly to someone there. And to hear Motasem say that his child not only was shot by a sniper, but then the Israelis took their tank and run over his body to destroy him further. That just to try to, obviously, to cover up the evidence of their crimes that they are doing. But in one way too, it's just like they don't care what the world thinks. They don't care. They don't care. They have no respect. Israel has absolutely zero respect for the very man that they believe, Moses, to be their prophet. They have no respect for his word. As you have heard Motasem say, the treatment of the hostages there are treated with dignity. And he tells you how that they have a code of conduct that they must follow. Israel doesn't follow any of this. So,
I am back.
go ahead.
I'm sorry. I was off.
Yeah.
I was speaking about the killing, the intentional killing of children by the Israeli occupation forces, and I told you about the killing of my two my children was killed along with his mom in a bombing, but the other was killed by a sniper. And suddenly, when he was killed, we were near our house, and suddenly we came under fire. And when I was sure that he was dead, I left his body because I had to flee quickly with my other children. When I came back to this place a week later, I found an Israeli tank ran over his body and torn his body into pieces. However, it is very little body. It is a small body, tender body, but they torn it into pieces after shooting him in the head, and then you run over his body with your tank. It is the absolute brutality, unbelievable, unimaginable brutality. I had never imagined that there would be brutality like this, like what the Israeli occupation forces has done to my child. And this is repeated everywhere and every today, the Israeli occupation forces have killed 70 people since dawn in Gaza, across the Gaza Strip. 50 of these children in Jabalia alone. Uh, 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 these 50 people who were killed in Jabalia, including 25 children and 15 women. Out of 50 people killed in Jabalia since dawn, 25 children and 15 women. So that they are the most child killers. The Israeli occupation army must be branded as the child killer with without any precedent case in history. And this, unfortunately, this policy is continuous, and it is not really only related to the Gaza Strip. Yesterday, the Israeli occupation forces shot Palestinian youth in Qalqilia, the city of Qalqilia in the occupied West Bank, and they prevented paramedics from approaching him after they were sure that he was dead. They abused his body in front of the cameras. I have posted the video on my timeline. They abused the body of this youth, maybe 17 years old. Why? What did he do? And an Israeli soldier was asked by a TV interviewer when a Palestinian body throw a stone, when a Palestinian boy throw a stone at your armored vehicle. What do you do? He said that I will shoot him and kill him. A Palestinian boy, 5, 6, 7 years old, throws a stone at your armored vehicles. You shoot him and kill him because he is threatening your life. It is a lie. It is fake. It is the worst army the worst army I've ever heard about, and I have ever seen. The problem is that this army is the soldiers of this army are going here and there with impunity, and no one is able to put them accountable their crimes. Even the ICJ issued an arrest warrant against Netanyahu. The United States attacked this international tribunal, and other countries defied this arrest warrant by hosting Netanyahu and withdrawing from the agreement or the convention of this tribunal in a challenge to the international mode that the asking or pushing for the hold of the Israeli genocide against Palestinian children and women and civilians.
It is the most horrific thing that you could ever possibly hear. I mean, I think back to Herod during the time of Jesus when he sends in there to kill all these children because he wanted to kill Jesus. So he just kills all the children. Netanyahu is no different. He's only worse. He sends the people into Gaza to kill not just the children, but the mothers, the fathers, everyone there. You know, I mean, this is the most unbelievable thing in modern time.
And he justified this.
Yes, He's
He
justifying
once was
justifies it.
asked about this, and and he justified this by saying that the Palestinian children, when he said that Palestinian children, when they get old, they became terrorists. They become terrorists, so that they have to be killed while they are young.
And the real terrorists are the Israeli military killing the people of Gaza. I'm curious, though, Mutasim,
Of
do you
course.
guys see other militaries in with Israel embedded there coming in, whether it be other from other countries? Do you ever see anything like this, or has anyone spoke to you about this?
Again, please, the question again, please.
The
I didn't understand the question.
yes, are there other militaries besides the Israeli force in Gaza? Are there other militaries seen on the ground fighting with Israeli forces against the people of Gaza?
You 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 you, you mean mercenaries?
Yes, or
Yes.
yes,
Yeah, yes, we see we in the Israeli, we are 100% certain that there are many other soldiers from different countries, because when the Israeli occupation forces surround a certain neighborhood during their ground operations, people hear different languages, hear the Israelis speaking different languages. Some of these soldiers are Muslims, unfortunately, and they perform the prayers. Some speak English, some speak Spanish, some no Spanish. No one is here speak English, French, and some people spoke African languages. Many people spoke Arabic, and a lot of people gave their witnesses to rights groups and investigative journalists about these issues. So that when you hear languages from different countries around the world, it means that these people are coming from different corners across the land, across the earth, and they are used as mercenaries, or maybe they came to support the Israeli Zionist occupation, maybe. Look, one of the examples, it is not only related to the what's going on during the genocide, before the genocide. One of the examples, the the American prisoner who was released 2 days ago, he was the only of his family, from his family, who holds an Israeli citizenship. He might have, my analysis that he might have come to Israel and gained the Israeli citizenship in order to join the army and fight the Palestinians.
this is so terrible. But I can see why, because early on they talk about the women that were going in could not handle what was happening in Gaza. So they pulled some of them back. And, you know, there are good Israelis like Miko Peled, who has been a strong activist for Palestinian people,
I
and
know him.
and around the world, there are Jewish people standing up, getting arrested, thrown in jail for protesting. And
I
they want to say, you stand for the people of Gaza, and they say, oh, you support Hamas. There's to me, I remember when there was the election in Gaza, and they would talk about how that Hamas won, but the other side, they were being throwing them off of buildings and things. Uh, you know, so to me, the people of Gaza have every right to their own life, to their own freedom, And they should not be in an open air prison. They should have open borders to trade. They should be able to rebuild. I know they keep talking about, Trump says, oh, we're going to send you to a better place. They're not going to send nobody to a better place.
No,
And
no,
this
no,
is
no,
all
no,
lies and propaganda.
no better place than our land, than our homeland and country. No one can go to any other place which would be better than his own homeland and his country. Uh, I know a lot of Jews who are against the Israeli occupation of Palestine and the Zionist movement. I have friends, Jewish friends from outside Palestine and from Israel. I have several Jewish friends who are against the Israeli occupation and continue to speak with me during the genocide. If from time to time they speak to me and I speak to them, including journalists and activists and for myself, I am not a Hamas member, but I believe that Hamas won free elections, which was monitored by international monitoring groups, and and this is the ruling part here in Gaza, so that we have to keep up with its terms and its rules. But whenever I speak with those who are Zionists or people who comment on my reports and post on X or social media, they accuse me of being a Hamas operative or Hamas member. I know they accuse everyone who is against the occupation as a Hamas member or supporting Hamas. This is an easy way to blacklist him or to disband these supporters and those who are anti or against the occupation, because Hamas has been already blacklisted by the United States and many European countries, and is banned in many other places, so that it is easy. They don't need to prove that you are you need to be.
We lost Motasem again, and I'm sure he'll try to reconnect again, and we'll close out with his final words there. But we're going to make sure that we have subtitles in the video here for you. I can understand him easily, but I know there will be some that don't. And so I want to make sure that you can read along with what he's saying. It is absolutely heartbreaking and heart-wrenching. And I cannot help but think of so many biblical scenarios when I listen to what's happening to the people of Gaza. You know, as I mentioned, you had Herod, who had all these little children killed just because he was so afraid that Jesus would get away. So he goes and kills all the children. Collective punishment, so to speak. You know, it's no wonder why Jesus says, you know, you are of your father the devil. You are serpents, a generation of serpents and vipers. You know, why? Because the very first murder was Cain killing his brother Abel. You know, following right in the path of the serpent that tricked Adam and Eve in the first place. And then you come into the modern day of 2,000 years ago when Jesus was there, the same thing, trying to kill the righteous brother. And of course, eventually they did. And now we're here 2,000 years later, and the scale of death and destruction is beyond anything you could ever imagine. I want to take, and I'm going to share with you guys, if you give me one moment here, I want to share with you Motasem's Twitter page so that you can see and you can follow his work. You could share his work. Motasem A, Dalloul. He is a journalist in Gaza. Gaza is what he says on here. He is an international journalist, Gaza-based journalist, and you have a way to be able to support him as well. And so I do, because I don't think we'll get him back on now, but I want to thank Motasem from the bottom of my heart that he was kind enough to come on and share the horrors that have happened and are still happening in Gaza. And I want to ask you to everything you can to reach out to senators, congressmen, any authorities that you have in your area, and tell them this humanitarian aid that is being blocked right now must come to an end. There can be no excuses accepted any longer. It must come to an end. He talked about the latest situation there. It's just so sad as you're seeing the suffering of the people there. And it's horrific. Of course, Trump meeting with the guy over in Syria there. And that was something that was done intentionally to overthrow President Bashar al-Assad. So this is what he talked about here. Israel bombed 2 hospitals today. Dozens of the victims were children. Very sad. Anyway, thank you guys for listening. Thank you for your patience with this interview. And God bless the people of Gaza. And I pray that God will end their suffering soon. I'm Stephen Ben-Nun with Israeli News Live.